not just an ordinary voice.
Not just a film trailer voice.
I am
a voiceover.
The Mind the Gap voice.
The X Factor voice.
The Impressionist voice. So great.
The Big Brother voice.
Speaking clock voice.
The newsreader voice.
The Smart Speaker voice.
The voice of the balls. The weakest link voice.
The cartoon voice.
The voice that says,
Press 1 for customer service.
And
don't forget your change, especially notes.
And
Gordon's alive!
we are speaking as one.
to say,
To say, stay at home.
protect the NHS.
Save lives.
And
RTI.
Keep talking.
Keep talking.
keep talking. Keep talking.
Keep talking. Continue de parler. बात करते रहिए.
Keep talking.
Keep talking.
Keep talking.
Keep talking.
don't keep it to yourself.
And if others want to talk to you,
Listen.
We can all get through this.
if we stay at home,
Protect the NHS.
save lives, and
Keep ruddy well talking. RTI.
1300 Central European Time and 12 o'clock in the UK. This is Radio Tatras International.
The station of the stars. RTI.
That'll be us then, and I know we're not broadcasting in the usual place on Facebook, but that's different. Hi to the guys broadcasting us on AM radio from America across to Europe. Thanks to the guys at Unique for that. And Steve Mann's got workmen in, so he doesn't know much of the show we have to listen to. Oh dear. Eileen's there, good morning. That's Eileen Adios's mum. Hi, especially to Christine and Ian. And, Christina's there. That's Tarina. She fiddles it on Facebook. I'll just having a look. Hi to Turkey, to the USA, GB, and just about everywhere else. And first of all, hello, Dave.
Hello, happy International Weekday.
Weekday?
Yes, International Weekday.
All right. Is that a comb over as well?
No, I think it's just weeks.
I don't need
No
one of those. My hair is growing back.
Yeah, but that's the problem you've got. If it's growing backwards, that's always a bad sign.
Well, there is that to it as well, yes.
It's also International Bagpipe Day.
Love it. I love a Scottish bagpipe. Go on.
And have you packed your lunch for today? Because it's Pack Your Lunch Day.
No.
Registered Dietitian Day.
I've got one of those in the office. It's called The Wife.
Okay, and Blueberry Popover Day.
Like that,
I know
I
what
do.
you're going to say.
Yes.
What's one of those?
Yes, please.
It's the American twist on a Yorkshire pudding, apparently. The Yorkshire pudding was invented in the 17th century, and the popover was invented around about 1876.
Gosh.
So there you go.
That's rather horrific. Paul Turk, our producer in the UK, says, hello, RTI. And now we say hello to our guest, who is none other than the person you wanted back for weeks and you keep nagging at me about getting him back. It's Jan Telensky.
Hi, everybody.
How are you, sir?
Regards from a rainy Hertfordshire. It's raining cats and dogs.
Oh, that's all right. I'll just annoy you then because you can't come here. It's bright and sunny and nice and warm in Slovakia.
Well, there you go.
Yes. You need
We're
to...
going to get blown away later.
You said earlier, Eric, that you like bagpipes, but remember, a man who blows his own trumpet is usually a soloist. Remember that.
Well, actually, that's quite an apt introduction because I'm going to tell you off now, and I'm going to enjoy it because what most people don't know, and there have been pilot schemes in the UK, pilot schemes in Slovakia, getting an awful lot of running around blowing their own trumpets. And manufacturers of hardware as well, politicians all joining on the bandwagon for a 5-minute effort at blowing their own trumpet, when what most people don't realise is since 2015, get it? That's 6 years ago, Jan Telensky started a charitable project called Digital Angels. 6 years ago. didn't wait for the newspaper to say, "Oh, look, well done, Mr. Politician. Well done, Mr. Sober. Well done, Mr. Company." He did it before anybody else. And I've persuaded Jan to come on and explain Digital Angels and what it's been doing for the last six years. Jan.
Well, the idea is that everybody could afford a computer. But there was a large number of people who actually afford it. And therefore we started by collecting with the help of Eric Way to charities, orphanages, schools and so on. But of course, it's sort of twisted in the past 12 months in the lockdowns and the COVID catastrophe. We begin to give brand new computers to schools and orphanages and everything else. And the idea took off because of the Daily Mail campaign in Britain. And now I can see that the city of Poprad is beginning to latch on my ideas because I gave computers to name but few, one which is behind the official office of RTI in Poprad and various other like Kežmarok, like Velký Slavkov and so on. And obviously the idea is that the people who need it most actually in the lockdown had a computer which they could use at schools and everything else. And I'm glad that I'm able to say that 6 years ago, the idea was isolated, but now everybody is following it. It's not that they are copying the idea, they are realizing the value of it. And of course, the mayor of Poprad, I mentioned it to him some times ago, and he decided to follow, and he got the charity of Volkswagen and Siemens and so on, which will be now following our example from RTI to supply the computers to children. And of course, the whole idea is based on Confucius, who says, when I'm hungry, don't give me the fish, but teach me how to become a fisherman. And of course, all these computers are not satisfying just the limited knowledge. It gives them the tool so they can learn from home on an equipment which they otherwise, their parents otherwise couldn't afford, because at this moment of time it's what do we eat, how do we pay the rent, how do we pay the mortgage? And I don't think the first item is how do we give equipment to educate our kids. So the idea, which was isolated 6 years ago, has, thanks to Eric, become a global event. There you go, Eric.
Yeah,
Is that sufficient, or would you like me to say anything else?
No. But I think you're not blowing your own trumpet enough. The whole thing started, and I'll tell the truth. Jan and I were talking, and we went down, I think, to get in his car. I can't remember exactly, in a warehouse. And as I walked in the warehouse, there was pallets of computers. And I said to Jan, what the hell are you doing with those? He said, oh, we got to throw them away, but it breaks my heart. I said, who's told you to throw them away? He said, I don't remember. Someone's told me that we just have to scrap them, but it breaks my heart to do it. I said, well, I'll have them then. Why? Digital Angels, blah, blah, blah. And then we talked it through. And all that initial equipment, although we've had subsequent donations from people like KPMG, the initial flow of hundreds of computers has all come. And without that, Jan, we wouldn't have stood a chance, because it would never have happened. So thank you.
And of course, the latest are the schools in England.
Yeah.
One of those is the school which received the computers, which is Marcus Rashford School, where he went in Manchester. We donated to 4 schools, which are all supported by the Manchester United charity. So this is one of them. We gave it to Hertfordshire, Bedfordshire, all over the counties. And we're now receiving a great deals of requests, and we continue to obviously help people to develop their skills in education
Actually,
and in many other
I'll tell you one of the things that, without naming names, that what Jan's been involved in has helped somebody. And the first one was a lad who was in an orphanage. And this lad looked at the daft thing is, you know what it's like when you're English, because you never leave anything in your car. So we take all these computers from Jan down to an orphanage for him. And this young lad's looking at my laptop. So I said, "Oh, do you want to play?" And with the next back, and we took him. He didn't know, just before Christmas. We took this laptop to him, which wasn't terribly new. It was working. It was one that came from Jan's office. And I went to this kid's bedroom. He had a bed, a table, and a chair. He had what we call as a sheet, as a blanket. That's all he had in his world. And he said, "What are you doing?" So I explained to him in my bad Slovak what we were doing. And I said, "The deal is, you must learn English with the program I put on here. And in turn, that's the payment." So he said, "Okay." The kid now comes back to Potbrad regularly at Christmas because he brings Christmas presents to the kids that are now in the orphanage. He drives a fantastic Audi. He's got the most beautiful wife, 2 lovely kids, and poncho of IT at a major company in the Czech Republic. And that, Jan, is what you did. You did that.
Well, no, we did it. I mean, the idea is that from little acorns, great oak tree grows. And that's what you have to do. You know, we are investing in the future of people, changing their lives. I mean, in England, I am part of virtual reality training in plumbers, electricians, and so on. We've got over 100,000 students. We're building derelict houses and so on. And therefore, we are in education. That's the whole idea. When I'm hungry, don't give me a fish. I follow that because the skills shortage is enormous now, and you need to use new methods how to train people because the traditional methods don't work anymore.
Message from Axel. I like that, Eric. And by the way, the best in the world, RTI.fm. Thanks, Axel. That's very kind of you. Steve, I'm going to kill, who's in Liverpool, says, "Finally, somebody..." Who's that, Dave?
I don't know. Is it you or me?
I don't know. No idea whatsoever.
Well, gentlemen, that's been addressed a long time ago in one of the Shakespeare plays. To be or not to be? That is the question. Sorry.
That is the question.
That's the most highbrow this show's ever been.
Yes.
There you go.
Year.
It's never got that highbrow before. And there is one other story I want to share with you. Paul says, "I like that." Well, yes. And Ian says, Ian's listening to us on YouTube. Facebook is 10 seconds behind you now. Oh, you can't win them all. But at least it's working today, which is a miracle, because it hasn't been working for a couple of weeks. There's another sort of spin-off to this, because like the UK, if you give kids something to do, they're not troublesome. If they've got nothing to do, they get bored and get fed up and they become a bit of an issue. And I kind of get that. And it resulted from Jan giving, crikey, it was over 50 computers to a massive orphanage where they eventually built themselves their own computer lab out of the bits. And I was sitting outside a shop one day with Martina at summer having a coffee. And the waiter comes over, he said, "Hello, Eric." "Yeah." He said, "You don't remember me, do you?" "No. I was the one that was always in trouble with the police." "Ah, yes, right. He said, "Tell Mr. Telensky that I had to do. I wasn't in trouble with the police anymore, and now I've got a job." And I'm going, That's amazing. Oh, right. Oh, this is in from Teresa. I can read it. Jan,
Yeah, go on.
when are you going to be Secretary of State for Education in the UK?
Well, you see, I have to give you the same answer as Einstein gave to the first state of Israel when they asked him to become the first president of the state of Israel in 1948. And he declined. And they said, this is a great honor. 2,000 years we've been waiting for this. Can you imagine you'd be the first president? At least give us the reason why you, the great man, the inventor of theory of relativity, declined such an honor to go to politics. To which Albert Einstein replied, I'm sorry, gentlemen, but my mind is not sufficiently equipped to handle such a complex issues like politics. And that's why...
Oh, dear.
Now, if Einstein said it, he must be right.
Gotta be right. Over in, believe it or not, Cambodia, Martin says, hi, Eric. Tonight, because it's tonight there, you're coming through loud and clear and your body's moving too. I think that's Facebook fixing it for us, Martin. And when is Dave going to get Piers Morgan's job?
Well...
We've all seen the photo.
Yes, we've all seen the photo. Now,
well, there is a famous Agatha Christie book entitled "Be Careful What You Wish For." There you go.
that's very true. Yes, I mean, to be honest, Jan, if Dave took that job, all we'd ever hear about is Knight Rider and Knight Rider and Knight Rider.
Okay,
that'll work, wouldn't it? Now,
yeah,
Jan, you're suffering more than most in this lockdown, and yet from my understanding, and guys, Jan directly employs thousands of people, and I do mean thousands of people, and yet you've managed to keep everybody.
Well, you see, it's all about it's all about the spirit you create. You see, my management, the average key person has been working for me for 30 years. Now, that must be one of the records.
Yeah.
Because I empower people, I make sure they understand what is expected. And then they give them 100% support. You see, because most people don't understand what motivation is. Motivation isn't money. Motivation isn't or benefits. Motivation is how you feel. And if you feel great, you are motivated. And okay, money is important and everything else. But if you are very rich and you feel miserable, then you are not motivated.
No.
So I specialize in motivating people. I mean, you and I have been together, what, 20 years?
Yeah, just over 20 years now.
Yeah. Now, how many times have I told you to do anything? You talk.
Word. That's because you can never get a word in when he's around.
No. Believe you me, I can match Eric. Sometimes Eric has a problem to get a word in edgeway. And I always say that Eric put me on my feet. Before I met him, I was driving a Rolls Royce, and now I'm walking. So he put me on my feet. You understand that? Eric has never made me any money. He's paid.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gone quiet. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, Jan.
Yeah, and talk to me.
What have you done?
I don't know.
He looks as though he's still there.
He is still there.
How
Where
bizarre.
are you, Jan?
Maybe he's pressed mute or something at his end. I don't know. Just when we thought we were going to dish the dirt on you.
Yes, hang on.
Oh, he's gone now.
What we'll do is we'll call him back. Add.
I'm not really quite sure I recognise this show. We've had a mention of Einstein and a quote from Shakespeare, all
Yes.
within the first 15 minutes. What's that all about?
Hello?
Oh, there he is.
Hello.
We got you back.
Yes. So where did I stop?
Abusing me.
Eric had made you stand up because you got rid of the car.
Oh. Okay. No. On my feet because before I met him, I was driving a Rolls Royce, and now I'm walking. So he put me on my feet, right? So
Right.
That's the idea. It's a joke. But the reason why people, because they're motivated. A motivation is how you feel, not your benefits or whatever it is. And I must tell you, the COVID, because I'm used to, turn disadvantage into advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you have anything you do, any film you see, any play you see, any book you read, you have 7 plots. 7 basic plots in life. Overcoming the monster, rags to riches, quest, voyage and return, tragedy, comedy and rebirth. In my life, I did all 7 of them. I overcame the monster, Czechoslovakia. I overcame the communist, awful socialist regime by escaping to England. I'm rags to riches. My life started under the tree in Dunstable Cemetery. I had no money, no language, and couldn't go home for 20 years, 3 months, and 15 days. Now you just imagine, you are in a different language. You can't see your relatives. You can't see your mother and father. They allowed my parents after 15 years. And I made it. I made it from rags to riches. Now quest. I have a quest. Happy as possible. Create circumstances because I understand what is misery. I lived in it. Now you have a voyage and return. I left and to 20 years, 3 months and 15 days. I had the tragedies. They would not even allow me to go in 1989 to my... I'm the only son. I have 4 sisters. I wanted to be with my mom, who had only 2 men in her life. Husband and a son. I couldn't be with them. So I had the tragedy. I have comedy. I have to be a comedian. I have to have a sense of humor.
You have.
With Eric. Working with Eric, you've got to have a great deal of...
Tell me about
And then I had the last one, the rebirth. After 20 years returning home, my country was strange. It was foreign country. For me, time stopped 20 years ago. I met new relatives, new nephews, new nieces, and then I had to start all over. It took me 3 years to be able to adapt the new regime in Czechoslovakia. And obviously, I am living in England 50 years now, and I have adapted to the life. So you see, people have to sometimes go through terrible things to be wise and to appreciate what you have. And that is basically the reason why I have thousands of people, because I understand the man with problems. I can feel, and that is what's missing in society today. People are isolating themselves from those needy ones. They think, and if they help them, it's not because they want to create good. They did it because for political reason. They want to score brownie points. That's why it's pointless. Do it because you want to do it. To make somebody happy. And sometimes the only way you can do it is if you had a pretty miserable life. See, some people only go through 4 plots. I went through all 7 of them. And that's not many people.
It's rather like, there's a sort of an unwritten rule in America where if you want to be a talk show host, you've got to be at least over 40, been divorced, gone broke, lost your house, and started to build your way up again.
I got broke twice.
Yeah.
Twice in my life I lost everything. And the second time, I was a multi-millionaire. I lost everything. I lived in a bedsit. But what took me 20 years, having lost it all, I built it and tripled it in 3 years after that.
Yeah.
Because when the ability is to hit the wall at 100 miles an hour, pick up all the pieces, rebuild it, and carry on.
Yep.
See, look at Richard Branson. You went bus 3 times.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. And I think the other or difference is that when somebody takes something away from you, you don't sulk about it, you find a way to fix it. So in other words, don't bring me problems, bring me solutions is the way you live.
Life is all about solutions, not problems. Once you accept it as a problem, then you have a problem. And you see, most people made the cardinal sin of worrying about something they cannot change. And my motto is, God give me serenity to accept things I cannot change. Give me courage and strength to change things I can change. And give me the wisdom to tell the difference between what I can change. If people followed it, I'm 73, I should be retired 8 years ago. And I promise you, my employees who are 30 have a problem to keep up with me. Because I don't have any problems.
No, and I mean, in the nicest possible way, you do remind 2 other people I work with. One was Sir Alan Sugar, and the other one definitely Richard Branson. Because Branson... oh, thank you. Because Branson had another theory, which you have. And he... Eric, stop worrying about it. We can't do anything about it. Ride the storm. Let them whinge on a bit, because when they finish whinging, there'll be nothing. Just carry on.
Well, it's don't worry, be happy.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah, and that was a Branson motto, as he poured me into a taxi after slightly too much alcohol one night. But that's another story which we won't go into. Jan, I know you've got a busy day, so I'm going to thank you for your time so far.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity. Come on, let's make more people happy with the computers, and let's look forward to defeat this COVID and all that, and let's look forward to happy days where we can go and get drunk outside or inside and just enjoy life in general.
That you see, that will teach you to get drunk with me, because look what happens. 20 odd years later, we're still together.
That was in the book where Aqua City and school, and Eric comes up with an idea, a radio station which speaks in English in Slovakia where hardly anybody speaks English. It's like taking the coal to a Newcastle. That's what it was. But now, 2/3 of the nation speak English, and the whole Eastern Europe speaks English.
Yeah.
So the vision of I thought he was a nutcase, but then I thought of it. I said, well, let's look the future, and I saw that everybody in Slovakia, Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland wanted to learn English. So it was a great idea to help them by listening to the radio in English to actually improve their skills.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Jan, thank you ever so much for your time today. I know you've got a busy schedule, so we'll love and leave you. Thanks ever so much. Look to speak to you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
1, 2, 3. Wash your hands. It just takes 20 seconds. It's for your own protection. There's no objections. You'll make such a nice impression. No infection if you only wash your hands. And you're done.
Indeed so. Hello, Dave. We're back again.
Yes, I'm still here. I'm going to go back and clip that because that's definitely a soundbite I need.
What's that?
When Jan mentioned that he was talking about the quote, I think he was a nutcase.
Yes. Funnily that, Steve jumped on that one as well.
Yes.
Eric is a nutcase.
There's one of those sound bites that will just be played forever.
I should have talked over him, shouldn't I?
No.
Yes.
Oh, well, too late now. Never mind.
He's got the recording, he says. Oh, you can do that one because I'm too far away from you now. Trina's talking.
All right. All right. My motto: can't accept you for who or what you are, then they are the one with the problem, not you.
Absolutely right. Absolutely flipping right. Which brings me nicely onto another subject in a minute. Ian says about Trina, very true. very true. And Paul apologises. I missed that song. Sorry. Well, we were on time for it.
We were a little bit early.
We were on time for a change, which is an absolute miracle. It is just an absolute miracle. I got it right.
On time. We've had Shakespeare. I don't know what the hell's happened to this program. It's all gone. The wheels have
completely wrong, completely and utterly wrong. But there you go. It brings me on to the subject of Piers Morgan, who.
Oh, I wondered how long this was going to be before we mentioned him.
Morgan, the man that unprofessionally walked off a live TV show because he couldn't handle it. End of story, really. End of story. I was sitting there watching it and going, what the hell is going on? I can't take it anymore. What are you, Piers, a snowflake? Unbelievable. And talk about being unprofessional. And then he moaned that a colleague didn't agree with him. And I couldn't get that either. Why can't a colleague Dave disagrees with me all the time.
Well, we wouldn't make this show if we did. If we agreed.
I mean, I don't run to the office and fall on the floor and go, oh. Or actually, I think the other side of the story could be it was a great excuse for him to have an opportunity to walk out. He was thinking it through before he did it, so that he can join GB News.
Well, time will tell on that front, really. It's one of those interesting things. There were clips that were yesterday afternoon of said incident, and I can't remember the chap's name who lost his rag with Piers, shall we say?
Yes, the weatherman.
He does the weather.
Well, actually, he doesn't. He doesn't do the weather.
I've seen of this. So I don't actually know exactly what Piers had said the day before or earlier in the broadcast. I've heard little bits reported by the press, but as we all know, what's reported by the press is only what they want to tell you.
True. Which reminds me, which government minister walked out of a news interview during the Falkland Wars on Sky? I didn't think Sky was on then.
No. Falklands was back in the 80s.
Yeah, but
wasn't it?
Yeah, but Sky News didn't come on. Sky Television started in 1989. But there we go. Apparently Facebook's playing up again. Thanks to everybody for moving across. It was weird watching GMB this morning. You could drop a pin. It was weird. I was watching it because I can, and it was very heated at the beginning, and I don't know what it was. The whole thing was a bit acidic from day one, and I'm not sure that Piers was comfortable with having people in who might have disagreed with him. I think he was hoping for just him and Susanna to be there and lambast everybody and get away with it. But it's difficult because
I'm the bit where the news presenter, the weather presenter chap, whose name I will Google in a minute because I can't remember what it is.
I can't remember it either.
But he sort of was ranting that what Piers had said yesterday and what Piers had said today and what Piers had done here, and he was fed up with what Piers was saying. Well, I'm fairly convinced that Piers was there to basically rattle everybody's chain anyway. So wasn't Piers doing what he was paid to do?
I think the problem here is that two things can happen. One of which, the tabloids are not going to come out of this very well. Well, in fact, they're not. When you consider how they tried to make it look good for them, but actually it wasn't. And some of the other things that came out in the interview, like if they invited journalists to a party at Buckingham Palace, the next day they'd get good press. Well, that is just unprofessional, shocking, horrible, ridiculous. And if that's the state of play in Buckingham Palace, I want to go over there and be security because I'll lock a lot of them out. I really would. It's got nothing to do. I mean, if that is the case, then every journalist who reports on that is corrupt. And I can't believe that's what. Yeah, I know. So I don't know what they're whiter than white for. Alex Bereford, that's the man. Thank you, Ian. I've forgotten. Mitchell says, afternoon, didn't get a notification. No, we were trying something different to see if we could make it work, but it's not working that well, even doing it this way. But at least we're there. So welcome, Mitchell. You're not told off because you didn't get a notification. That's right.
He was washing his hands.
He was washing his hands, yes, that's right. So anyway, what Alex was moaning about was the way in which the mental health issue was being carried. Now, at that point, I wasn't necessarily disagreeing with Piers, because what he was indirectly saying was you have to have a bit of a balance. You know, if you pose a question in a certain way, it can be very offensive. And he was up for that. He said that's wrong. If you phrase a question in a different way, it can't be offensive. It's impossible. But Alex wouldn't have it. So there was a difference of opinion there. Now, when it got to the final bit, Piers was really out of order, absolutely out of order, complaining about to start with, and Alex didn't back down. It was like you were looking at Piers Morgan, and it was really weird. And the sensation was weird because Piers was just sitting there steaming and steaming and steaming about the fact that a colleague wouldn't agree with him. And they don't have to. It doesn't have to.
No.
It's nuts. And that's where Piers was wrong. And he was absolutely wrong. The people that complained about him to Ofcom, I haven't seen the actual in-depth thing yet, but I will get a copy of it. And if it's
41,000 complaints have been, which is the second most that they've ever received, behind the Big Brother storm of there was a celebrity Big Brother which somebody made, so I can't remember exactly why I'm there either. My brain has died. But yeah, so one of the most complained about items. But as I understood from what I've seen reported, Piers turned round and said that he didn't believe a word that the princess, the Duchess, had said.
Mm-hmm.
So he was dismissing the allegations of racism, and he was and also the mental health issues that they claimed. So
that's where Alex Bereford called him out, and said to him that one time Meghan was actually part of his little clan, but then she dumped him. But since dumping him, she hasn't said a thing against Piers. So, and that got him enraged as well. You could see from his body language. And it was Jade Goody, apparently, Steve thinks, that was being racist on Big Brother that got more complaints. But again, Jade Goody as well. So
exactly.
And you know, here comes another one. I met Jade Goody on the night that she was rushed into hospital the first time, and I was I was there reporting, and I called into Clive's show on LBC that evening because I was actually a guest of In the Pit with all the other journos, and I got to talk to her. She was a lovely lady. She was absolutely fab. Nothing wrong with her at all. She didn't ask for anything. I just said, can I have a few words for LBC? And she said, yeah, of course, sorry, of course you can. You know, and there was absolutely no problem. But she I was a little bit worried, and I said to her, I think you should go and sit down or something. She said, maybe I will, people to talk to. And off she went. And I never thought anything more until I saw the ambulance turn up. And I'm going, huh? Huh? Oh, well. And we know what happened after that, which was an absolute tragedy. Ian says the interview with Harry and Meghan was staged. Well, yes, it would be, because those sort of interviews are always prepped, which is staged.
Yeah, but they said at the beginning, and you only had to watch it to know. Yeah,
it was edited as well.
Well, we know it had been heavily edited because Oprah had released earlier in the day that she had great difficulty editing down the 3 hours worth of footage that she'd got to. Well, she said 2 hours, but let's face it, it was 1 hour 25 minutes by the time you took all the ads out.
Yes, plenty of ads, lots of ads.
Ad breaks though, because you could see where they'd
extra ad breaks.
Ad breaks out.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know of any, unless they come on here now. When Peter Dixon came on here, for example, we had no crib sheets at all. There were no preconceived questions, answers, whatever you want to call it. That was not staged. 99.999 reoccurring of interviews on television are staged in some level. It can be high or low, but they are staged to some degree. And some of that's actually quite good, because if the guest doesn't really know where you're going as a host, that can get just a diabolical interview where you actually go round in circles and get nothing. Whereas if you give them an idea of, the show being slightly loud and what they can't, naughty words they can't say, that sort of stuff, then you end up with a good interview. But that's basically still staged. It's all staged to some degree. It's how my hope, and I do hope, that whenever I've been doing this, and it's some 30 odd years now, the interviews I do, some of which have been very dramatic over time, they are not in any way, shape or form staged, whereby you either let somebody off or you make them look glorious. Because my attitude is we are purely a portal for an individual, doesn't matter whether they're famous or not, to actually get a message, be it, I don't know, it can be everything from Peter plugging his book through to talking about charitable work. They're two ends of the extreme. But whichever way it is, we get that message out to people without commentating on the message itself. Let the people decide. I mean, if somebody screws up and then says, oh, well, I did 10, oh, now I did 100, a bit like well-known politicians have done over time, sure, you can take them to the cleaners. It's easy. Dead easy. But other than that, no, you don't do that opinion. Something from Ian, Dave.
Ian says, you're only human at asking questions to famous people and trying to get it through to the people.
Yeah. We are not better. Dave and I do this for nothing. We volunteer it, but we do it to a professional standard, as two very normal people. We don't walk into Tesco's.
Well, as normal as we get.
Well, yeah. We don't walk into Tesco's so we can get a free packet of crisps because we're on the radio. Doesn't work like that. But you know what I'm getting at. There's no freebies out of here. Otherwise, I'll have a. I don't know what I'd have actually as a car. I can't think of it. Anyway, I'd have a brand new vehicle. Mitchell says, when it was shown in America,
hat.
yes, that's true. There would have been even more ad breaks. Yes, there would, and you could see them in there, as Dave said. When it flowed, it sort of faded through black and came out to the side. That was where the ads would have been in America. But
where the logo of Oprah talks to Harry and Meghan
was
actually appears in the bottom.
Ian said Ford, please. I kind of like that. It's just taken me 42 minutes to find you. Blah, 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 blah. Sorry I'm late, miss. No, it was just an experiment today, Paul, because of Facebook playing up, and we were trying something different, and we just had to test it, and it's not much better. So it's not us. It's not our software, which works perfectly everywhere else, and we just had to try something. But never mind. Never mind. But what do you mean you couldn't find us on Simple Radio? Of course you could. Simple, with the only one with the name Tatras in it. That searches for everything. Anyway, nice to have you with us, Paul, even if it's a little bit late. You don't need a password today. No, pass. Letter. Yeah, never mind. So on to where will he go next? Because everybody's in agreement he'll come back. And I'm convinced it's going to be GB News with Andrew Neil.
We wait and see. I did wonder whether the BBC may try and snare him, but there is also the issue of the interview show that Piers does, the life story show.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I would have thought he would have had two separate contracts.
It depends, because don't forget he's then on a morning breakfast show every day, so he may well have had a golden hang.
Could have done. Apparently Keith Lewis watched it on CBS at 1 a.m. It was full of ads. It was bound to be.
Yeah, but it was. God. It was, oh my word, this advert break has been interrupted by an interview.
Yeah, exactly. American TV is horrible for that. Absolutely. It's why, if you're going to watch an American program, wait till it comes to Europe or ends up or something where you don't have to suffer all the ad breaks. It drives you nuts.
Was I the only one that thought Oprah's hair was a bit...
Her whole wardrobe was a bit off in my book. She looked like something out of the 1950s.
Yes. It was all a bit strange, but
yes,
it's done now. I'm not really sure why we're all talking about it.
Well, it's over.
When it comes down to it, it's... show me a family where there aren't arguments between the two sides.
Struggling.
Think about it.
Struggling.
Yes.
Struggling.
So, there we go.
Yes. Struggling.
I think we can quite safely say there's usually arguments going on in most families.
Yep.
And I don't suppose, in some respects, there have been anything different to the arguments people have had behind closed doors.
Well, you've only got to look at Jerry's show in the States. I mean, Jerry. How many decades has that gone on for?
I don't think he does it now, but I mean, it was Jerry Springer, and then we had Jeremy Kyle doing it over in the UK. Yeah. Every family has arguments raging in it. Whether you wish to air them on TV, I don't know. Because you're well known, because you're famous, because you're a member of the royal family, does that mean that you dirty laundry on the telly?
No. Actually, guys, thanks, Mitchell, for saying the sound's breaking up occasionally on Facebook. I am not surprised. It is below the belief what Facebook are doing. And for the techies amongst you, today I'm actually using Facebook's own software, not our professional stuff, to live stream the program, and even using it still doesn't work right. It really doesn't. But we soldier on. Oh, yeah, no, I agree, Keith. I totally agree. Oprah had the edit. She was not happy after Harry did the Corbyn interview thing on the bus. No, she wasn't, because that stole her thunder. And I
have to admit, the James Corden one was hilarious. The assault course, the ending up Fresh Prince of Bel-Air's house, and Harry going to the loo. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It was hilarious. A different Harry.
Yes, very relaxed Harry.
Yeah, more guarded. He seemed a lot more stressed, I would have said, by the whole thing with Oprah.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But I and correct me if I'm wrong, did it because she's not been in the press for a very long time and hasn't been doing a chat show. But I think she wants to come back, and she saw it as a great opportunity to her career.
Well, I don't think she really needs to do that. She's got her own TV channel. She's got her own TV production company. Please note, if you watch the end credits of the interview with Oprah, the production company's name is Oprah, spelled backwards. So I don't think it's a case of she needed to.
It's not
come
money.
back and do
No. It's not for money. I think it's just prestige to her.
Yeah, I issue with Americans want fame, and fame is all about sort of one-upmanship. Oh, look, I've got this interview, nobody else, etc.
Yeah.
Very.
Mitchell's just confirming that the audio from RTI is fine on other devices. It's just
Mitchell
Facebook.
Mitchell says maybe American hairdressers are also shut with lockdown.
I know, her hair
well,
was
that's
atrocious.
a definite possibility when you saw it.
Absolutely atrocious. And I must admit, up to an hour I was okay. By the time we got to 90 minutes, I'm really struggling. And I'm saying to myself, you must watch this, Eric. And I'm forcing myself to watch it. And the minute it ended, I click, I'm off. I'm out of here. But then I thought to myself, hold on, it's the news next. Let's see what their spin is. And that was a joke as well. That was an absolute fiasco. And they went straight back. Paper say, I don't give a monkey's uncle what the paper says. What I take from my brain is what they said in the interview with Oprah. Any kind of opinionated word, no.
I agree with Keith Lewis.
What's that?
It's a wig, which works quite well as it's international. He's Harpo production. It was a Harpo production, and if you spell Oprah, what do you get? Oprah.
Yes. Mitchell thinks after the interview they would have had a massive row. I don't think they would. No.
Well, Oprah and Harry and Meghan, or just Harry and Meghan had a massive row?
I don't think any part would have had a massive row. Because they stopped and started. Even though you could, it was edited. Yes, it is, Paul. It's time to wash our hands again, which we'll do in a sec. Even though comments were made, I believe that all parties were there at all times, just one was off screen. So Harry heard it all, at which point we'll wash our hands.
1, 2, 3. Wash your hands, your hands. It just takes 20 seconds. Wash your hands. It's for your own protection. No exceptions, no objections. You'll make such a nice impression. No infection if you only wash your hands. Done.
Don't forget, keep doing it because it's there. It is still there on a regular basis, thanks to my good buddy Larry London for reminding us every afternoon, Monday through Fridays, keep washing your hands. You know, and there's something strange here. I'm sitting in Slovakia, he's sitting in Washington, D.C., and we both have the same theories. Nice programme today, says Trevor. Blimey. Good.
He obviously hasn't been listening.
No, that's
Either
right.
that, or
No.
it was the shock of
Einstein.
Shakespeare and Einstein earlier.
Actually, do you want...
Go on.
That wasn't... I didn't need a clang for that. Walking down the street one day with a bunch of his mates, they were going to... They got some appointment ready to be done. And one of his mates said, Mr. Einstein, where are we going? And he reaches in... He said, what are you doing? You're Einstein, you know everything. Where are we going? He said, no. Never try and fill your head with a lot of things you might not use again. Write them down on paper, keep them in your diary. You know where your diary is. 100 things for you and you haven't got to think about it. How true. How true.
Useless piece of information. The Duchess of Sussex, i.e. Meghan, has formally complained to ITV about comments.
Surprised. But it's not going to do her any good. She should be... The Queen's got it right. She's got it absolutely right. She has made a very gracious statement. Yeah.
64 words, I think it was.
Yep. I read it. It came to me. Well, not sort of in a sort of mental way. It appeared in my inbox from the palace, as we often get, because I send it to Dave when the Lords write to us, which they do on a regular basis. That's the difference. And that's not having a pop at Meghan. That's just a different generation at play. And the winner that's gracious. If you're gracious in winning or gracious in defeat, then the other side will just look a plonker. And that's the end of it. With Piers, Meghan darling, all you are doing is extending and increasing the profile of one Piers Morgan. By actually complaining about him, everywhere in the media will now say, she's complaining about Piers. And all that does is promote the brand of Piers Morgan. If you shut up about it, nothing happens. So different to a few years ago when there was all that hoo-ha from the churches because of the crucifix being used on tour by Madonna. And the more they ranted on, the more Madonna sold tickets. And what's more, she didn't have to pay for advertising. Even Madonna couldn't have afforded that much advertising. Because people...
How much would it have cost? Well, you can't buy it, but how much to get Good Morning Britain on the BBC News channel being promoted?
Impossible.
I am sitting here watching a clip of Good Morning Britain on the BBC News channel even as we speak. And it's been on for at least 60 seconds.
Yep.
You can't buy that sort of advertising.
No.
Well done, Piers. In your exit, you've probably made the board exceptionally happy.
Yeah, they will never tell you that.
No.
And it's that old adage of broadcasting. You cannot be flat and monotone. You've either got to be loved, hated, loved, hated, or they love to hate you. Those are the three criteria. I agree, Keith. Meghan is all me.
When it comes down to it, this is not a statement that I would come out with, but I hate Piers Morgan. That's why I tune into Good Morning Britain every morning to see what he's going to get me now. There you go. That's basically what he was doing.
Yeah. Everybody have a good day. See y'all later. Says,
bye.
Axel, have a great day at work, mate. Have a great day. And thank you for the kind words. Really kind of you. I agree with you, Keith. She will flutter on for a bit and it will end up like the 1930s all over again, where there was a big hoo-ha when the king abdicated. They went off, did their own thing, and there was a tiny mention when they passed away. And that's it. It's finished, it's done, it's over. And
apart from you'll be seeing them on Netflix and everywhere else they've done a deal.
Yeah, but they're not getting paid by the taxpayer anymore or anybody else. No. And they do have a right to make a living.
To make a living.
Yeah, good luck to them. If they can, brilliant. If they can't, they can't. It's just the way it goes. Some people make millions, some don't. Same with Piers Morgan. He anchors a TV show, makes an absolute mint. Other people that anchor TV shows don't. Simple as that. She'll get an Oscar for this one. I couldn't agree with you more. There was some definitely good acting. Anyway, we got to say goodbye. Goodbye, Paul. Thank you for that. And goodbye, everybody else. Sorry about the Facebook thing. Nothing we can do. It's all down to Facebook. Say goodbye, Dave.
Goodbye, Dave.